with you today. We are back for the ABC April 2025 challenge or a collab hosted by Tony and Margaret. All the links are in the description box. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, you can pop over to the ladies' channels and find out all the info there. We are on Tuesday the 22nd and the letter is S, and there's not very much left now for the rest of the month. I have a really super quick project today. The ladies had suggested stamping, scraps, specimen cards, sewing and signature, and I have gone rogue again and decided to do something completely different. So today we are doing story scraps. Now these were very heavily inspired by a video Mum did a few years ago now that she called Story Tape. I will leave a link in the description box to her video. But these are little scraps. I've just taken all the little bits of fabric and papers from my scrap box, but then I've popped like little quotes or sentiments, if you like, on them that I can use on other projects. So I will show you where I've harvested these sort of things from. Now, I particularly like to use vintage children's books for a couple of reasons. They have this really sort of thick cardstock, and they also have large font, which makes it easier to A, cut it out or tear it out, and B, see it when it's complete. But if you don't have access to these, you could perhaps just type something up on your computer and print it out, or you can get digitals and things that say different sentiments and quotes and things like that. But the thing that I really like about these is you get to pick what your little quote will be and also how you would use it in your story. So for example here, the story says she was going to be lonely without her brother. So you could break that into so many different things. So you could just have her brother and have that as a sentiment. You could have lonely without her or just without her, and then just continue reading through until, like, I can see another one here that says, but as she came through the garden gate. And I would just put as she came through the garden as another thing. And then once you've got your sentiments all picked out, they can become prompts for you to create something. So if you really struggle with, I want to make a journal page or something, but I don't know what to do, you could rifle through your story scraps, pick something out, so a little puff of smoke, and then use that as a prompt to create something else. So I'll show you how I've created them. We'll just use this page, seeing how I've got it here, and then I'll show you a couple of examples of how you might use them. So now I prefer the torn look. So on here you can see the words have been torn out of the page. They're all rough. Sometimes if it's a very skinny paper, or if it's the lines of text are too close to each other, it's virtually impossible to tear it out without either getting some of the other text on it or ripping the text that you wanted to keep. So you might find it easier to cut it out. And you can also use a ruler to help you tear things out. So I'm just going to see if I have a bigger ruler. Won't be one moment. Okay, so I've got a longer ruler here, and I'm just going to line it up. I'm actually going to line it up close to this text, which I don't really want, and then use that to help me gauge the distance for the text beneath it. Now this paper is particularly thick, so I'm going to sort of push it up against my ruler first and then tear it away. And sometimes with this really thick paper it doesn't tear that well, so you can see here I've still got pieces of text, so I'll just pick those off so that they're not sort of encroaching on the text that I want to keep. So I want this line here. Again, I'm going to try and push it up against my ruler. Now if your paper is particularly thick like this paper, it might help to use something that's got a very thin blade, but not an actual cutting blade like a palette knife, just to help score the paper a bit first. Then you can use that like a score line and tear along it that way. So I think I'll just keep the Lonely Without Her as one of my little sentiments, and I might also keep She, and I'm going to keep the brother as well, because you never know what it might be useful for. So what else did we want? She came through the garden. Okay, so I've just kept those ones out, but as I'm looking down here, there's lots of other things that I could keep. So we've got a lovely surprise. What is it? You could just have mother, uh, waved a letter, clapped her hands. So there's lots of different things that you could use, and then it's just what happens in your mind as to what you would use it for. So we'll go with these ones that I've got here. Now I just want to tear that a little bit closer to my words. And I'll pop those aside. Now you might want to just keep them aside just like this, torn out, ready to use, and then pull them out of your little box as prompts at a later date, and then you can match the background to whatever project you decide to do. So you can just leave them like that, or you might want to use up some of your other scraps. So I've got some cheesecloth and fabric scraps over here, scrappy bit of some kind of ribbony thing, and some paper, bits of card, and this isn't a scrap but I use it a lot, the cheesecloth. So let's just see if we can make one now, and it looks like that's going to fit perfectly, but this is a bit too perfect, so I'm going to scuff it up just using the edge of my scissors, and if it tears or rips or whatever, that doesn't bother me at all. Just want it to look a little bit rough and rugged. Now I might even come in and put a little bit of ink on it. But because I have no idea what I'm using it for yet, I will keep it fairly neutral, and then I can add to it when it's found its forever home on a project. Do I want a bit of text underneath? Nope, I don't think I do. But I'll have some of this wispy looking stuff. So about there. Okay, so I'm just going to use a little bit of glue to adhere this down. And it's quite a thick material, so I've got a fair bit of glue on there. And then I'll just take some glue and pop it on the back of my little quotey thing here. And then because this is so thick, I might just pop a couple of staples in the end, because it'll just add a little bit of extra texture anyway. Oops, completely missed with the first one. Oh well. And it's as simple as that, and you can of course embellish it as much or as little as you like, and then whatever colours, and add other bits and pieces to it. And then once you've got them, you might want to use them. Now these are some things that I had already created, but just as an idea, so let's say for example you could have something like that, so it's all by itself. This gentleman could be as happy as a boy. Maybe this gentleman could be a man named Murdoch. Anyway, so you get the idea. It's just like a little quote or sentiment that you could use to add interest to your projects. So where's that one that we just did? She's going through the garden, so that would work on her. So it's probably a bit too long and it's not really the right colours for that particular project, but I think you get the idea of what I mean. So like this lady here, you could have some people, it's almost like a bit of a sarcastic quote there. Anyway, I thought they were really cute and fun and something a little bit different. So thank you, Mum or Motherload, for the inspiration. And hopefully you guys will have a go at making some too. But I'm quite looking forward to using them as prompts, just pick one out and then see what happens, where it takes me. So that's it for today, just a quick one. I hope to be back tomorrow with something beginning with T. I'll have to see how the day goes. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you again next time. Bye.